Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Squamble channel. Today, we're going to remember that the F1 season exists and do my 2026 Drivers' Championship predictions. Obviously, I will remember that the F1 season exists. Post videos about it in on my YouTube channel. I can't speak English, apparently. It's been that long. And then forget about my channel existing for about 9 months. So this year, obviously, we've got 22 drivers, two more drivers, one more team. What does that mean? Well, basically, we've got these five lovely jubbly tiers here, stuff from the bottom. We've got Lawrence Stroll's types, all the rubbish drivers, hence why he has one rubbish driver in his team. Then we have for the average people who are about as average as my height, which is about 10 meters taller than Yuki Tsunoda was because he's dead, I'm convinced. Then we have purevibes.co.uk for just their midfield teams that, are like 900 points below P8. And then we have our teammates are better than us, which kind of spoils how these 8 positions go, but that is for something to deal with in a future day because I don't like any of these people in the top four, but that's something for you to figure out later on. So we're going to start from the bottom, going up to the top. I don't think anyone's going to replace this time this season. I did predict that Colapinto was going to come in. Did I think Colapinto was going to score points? Yes, but we don't go into that. But speaking of people who aren't going to score points this year, coming in at 22nd place because someone has to, and it's definitely not because I forgot he existed whilst I was writing out what my predictions are going to be. We have Arvid Lindblad. Now, after seeing some of his questionable crashing antics in Formula 2, I questioned why it was between him and Alex Dunn at certain points for having a career in Formula 1. But then I understood that Red Bull needed to have a counterpart for the Mercedes organization that was terrorizing the season. But honestly, I just don't see it. He is young. He's very young. He's like born in 2007, which makes me like his grandpa or something. I don't think he's going to score any points this year, but you know, you can only hope. I obviously the racing bulls I said seem to be lower end of the table this season. I think it will stay that way, maybe get even worse as Aston Martin, once they sort out the fact that they can have a working car and it's not illegal to do so, then we'll see. But I do generally think he's going to finish bottom of the standings this season because someone has to. Next up, we jump in the Cadillac, and Bottas is going to put some miles on it. He is my pick for 21st on the grid. Is it his fault? Maybe, probably. Is it a kind of a battle between him and Perez who gets to do another year? Because let's be honest, Colton Herta is in Formula 2 and he is raring to go. And, I just don't see it with Cadillac. They may have the super overpowered Ferrari turbo starting mechanic, but that's only going to work if you can actually, you know, overtake afterwards and have any kind of pace, which, especially for Cadillac, they do not currently have. Will they improve over the season? Maybe. It's hard to tell what they're going to be like across the season because this is their first season in the sport. We saw it with Haas in their first year, started off brilliantly and then fell off a cliff, scuba diver style, and it just didn't go very well. Which is why his teammate I'm predicting to be in P20. Do I think both these drivers will get points? Yes. Is it going to be single digits? Oh, definitely. Are they going to have multiple point scoring races? Maybe, and if they do, it will be 10th place and 10th place. They might be like Ollie Behrman last year, king of the 11th places, but I do not see a way that the Cadillac is going to be good across a whole season to the point where they can be any higher than 21st and 20th. Now, obviously, with Lindblad being there, that clearly makes. I was going to say that's Liam Lawson. Sorry, Gasly. That mostly means Liam Lawson is 19th, right? No, Lance Stroll, because if there's someone who doesn't know how to function a car that already doesn't work and destroying it, it's this man, along with one other person who we'll get on to shortly. Stroll is this has got to be his last year. Aston Martin, I think, at the end of the year we'll just have a full wipe the slate clean because otherwise Adrian Newey will act violently towards everyone there and push them off their electric scooters. It's just I don't know. Unless he could surprise me. Surprisingly enough, I need to apparently react to my last year predictions, but Lance Stroll was one of the few I got right, which means I am a miracle worker and should be treated as a god, I think. But he's not going to have a good year this year, as if he's ever had a good year this year, aside from the first half of 2020. So he's getting P19. The Aston Martin's going to be bad for most of the year, but there's only one driver on the grid I trust in a bad car, and he's not going to get mentioned for a tiny bit. Next up, we have the other crashy rich boy, except this person I think is going to have a much better season this year, and that is Franco Colapinto. He will score points this year. In fact, I think he'll score points early on because the Alpine does look good, and it might be that Gasly has some unlucky retirement and Colapinto steps up. I hope he steps up because one, it'd be great to see every comment section in entirety having Argentinians go "Vamos!" But what more are we gonna do? He is just an Argentinian driver. I don't know why I said that. That sounds really like discriminatory. I don't mean anything like that. But it'll be interesting to see if he gets like sacked off and thrown to a river, like or announced that he's going to be replaced halfway through the season, like next year. But I think this season, if he wants to have any kind of career in Formula One, then he needs to do well this year. Next up, go to the next year. We have Gabriele Bortoleto. Now, Gabriele Bortoleto, I feel like I might have underdone him quite a bit considering where I put Hulkenberg, and thinking about how Bortoleto performed towards the end of the season, I think I've made a grave mistake. But it's too late to change that now because I've already failed making this video. But that doesn't matter. Gabriel Bortoleto had some great qualifying performances towards the end, and his point scoring form, similar to Ollie Behrman, was very good considering how bad that kick Sauber was. But this is Audi now. I think they will have better development across the season, and it will be interesting to see how well he truly does. I'm looking forward to it. I think he is going to be one to watch. And yeah, I know I'm saying all these positive things for P17, and where I've put Hulkenberg, you make it seem it probably looks like I'm putting probably like I'm massively underrating Bortoleto. I can already see it in my bones, and to be fair, will probably beat the two people I've got next. But that's a problem for another day at the end of the year when everyone slanders me. Also, please, South Americans, if you're watching this, no, I've not made it on purpose that a Brazilian just about beats an Argentinian. You can fight amongst it yourself in the comments. Next up is Liam Lawson. He is Liam Lawson, mate, and he's going to have a kind of better year, I suppose. He's just going to be there. Racing, he'll get something out of the racing balls, and even though they'll probably just consistently be like the 8th or 9th quickest team every single track they go to, he'll scrape like multiple like 8th and 9th place finishes, and it all adds up, and it will definitely benefit them in the championship. Will they technically only get 10th in the constructors? Yes, because of how I've got all the lower teams below them, and considering I've got everyone else, makes sense. Not really much to say on him. This will probably be his last year. I can't, and unless Lindblad does, as bad as I've clearly put him, and they just don't see anything in him. I think it depends how. If Lawson absolutely destroys Lindblad, he's got another year in the sport. Whether it's at Racing Bulls or not, we do not know. But yeah, he's another person. There's a lot of people with threatened careers. One, two, three, in fact, six of these bottom seven. God's sake, I've done that to myself. Um, that they need to have a good career. And speaking of someone who could be their last year, Fernando Alonso, the master of getting something out of an absolutely shocking car. And if there's anyone to do it, it's him. Who I never thought I'd see someone who's driven the 2014 Ferrari and have a McLaren Honda in consecutive years, and somehow this is going to be his worst performing cars at the start of a season. It's actually quite impressive, and I'm getting a bit emotional over it. But he will get like a shock 5th and 6th place finish, similar to Hulkenberg last season. Maybe not the podium as much as we would all love that, but unless Aston Martin do something incredible and are like in this tier, then there is no chance Alonso is staying beyond this season, and we can finally have someone young in, which will be just Fernando Alonso again. 14th, I've got Pierre Gasly. someone in this house will say I've got him about 18 places too high, but they're just a hater. They do not understand the greatness that is the Baguetti Spaghetti. He's not as bald this year, and he'll have a better performance than Qatar 2022 because that seems to all he gets mentioned about now, the poor bugger. But he'll have a great year. He'll lead Alpine on. Um, Whether development's going to be an issue, because obviously I think he'll start the season unbelievably well. Hopefully, he doesn't get unlucky with retirements. But then I do think Alpine are going to drop off, which is why I've got him in P13. 14, sorry, I can't count. Um, it's what I said about Colapinto, except I do believe Gasly will still be able to get some results towards the end of the season when other cars have developed ahead and they're struggling. Whether they'll be able to carry that in seasons afterwards, I don't know, because I have not got a crystal ball. Otherwise, this tier list would be quite amazing. After Gasly, in P13, we have his best mate, Esteban Bacon. Now, I think Haas are another team that are looking very good, but I do just believe with the fact that because of they've got two pretty good drivers, that the development will go a lot more, much more smoothly. I think there's also, I don't know, there's just something about Haas that make it feel like they've got the super powered Ferrari turbo starting thing, and I think that will benefit both these drivers. They both got very good racecraft, as especially Ocon has shown numerous times, unless he's battling Perez, so watch out. Um, it's gonna be an interesting season for Ocon because I feel like if like obviously we'll talk about Hamilton later, but if Hamilton was to leave, it's very clearly going to be Behrman unless he has an absolute stinker of a year. But I doubt that will happen, as you'll see soon. Ocon, yeah, similar. It'll be similar to Alpine, but I don't think the falls going to be as drastic. We saw last season that they developed pretty well with the performances Behrman was putting out. And I do believe Ocon is also capable of outputting those performances. We've seen him do well midfield cars plenty of times, such as in the Alpine. So I think he'll be able to display a similar thing to the Haas as well. Next up, now you can see what I mean about Bortoletto. I have Nico Hülkenberg. I now think I've either underrated Bortoletti massively or I've massively overrated Hulkenberg. I'm going to get one of them two massively wrong. And the more I think about it, the more I realise that the only reason he was so high up in the championship last year was because of that one podium. So have I messed this up? Yes. Is there much point me talking about him? I don't know, but I think he'll be great for development purposes. This is technically what is like 13th season in the sport, maybe more. I don't know. It might be 13th or 14th, depending if you count on the races where he was subbing in for 2020. Stroll. That's it. Um, I think he's still got it in him. I think this would be his last year of like properly being competitive. But in terms of developing for the Audi team, I think this would be very interesting. Obviously, the Audi engine questions about it, not as many as the Honda engine, thank God. But I think they will pull something together, having much better finances, as I said with Bortoletti before. It's going to be a great year, I think, for him. Won't get a podium again as much as we would all love that, but it's someone else's term down here, or or you, or you, or you, definitely you. But that doesn't matter. In 11th place, I've got Alex Albon. I am aware the Williams is currently seen to be the 9th or 8th quickest car on the grid, but that doesn't describe the fact that these are two very talented drivers. Better for Williams, obviously, Science we'll talk about later because I love talking about Science. It gives me an erection. Albon, for God's sake, Albon, started off brilliantly last year. And, I think Williams, obviously, there was massive worries for Williams at the time of the Barcelona shakedown, but the fact that they weren't there and that is like they added me to the top of their car. They were so bloody overweight. They've now seemed to have sorted it. I think they will have a bit of a slow start, which, might benefit Sainz more because he doesn't wake up until about 19 races into the season. But I do believe these two know to strategize whilst in the car, which is something which has much more effect when you're fighting up on the higher end of the field. But I do believe these two will go into next year with a much better car, and who knows, could break into this barrier here the season after. But this year, they're both in this tier. It's purevibes.co.uk/we 10th place, we have got Oliver Bearman. If there's someone who has, got the most hype talking about how well they're going to do this season, it's a driver specifically, not based on team performance, just as a driver, it is Oliver Bearman, in my opinion. There's a reason why about, I believe, 58% last time I checked picked him as fantasy. He's a very good driver. If I was a man, who could a quarter fill Hamilton's boots. I feel like he has the potential to. He's a very good driver, and everyone rates him on the grid. There's just no doubt about it. And he's Bear on tour. He's going to do very well. Who knows? He might be the midfielder who sneaks a first podium, and I hope it does, because that would be a lovely, jubbly situation. In ninth place, Carlos Sainz. Same place I had him last year. That's probably very, very biased of me. But, to be fair, I predicted him 10th last season. Wait, no, I predicted him 10th last season and he got 9th. So I'm predicting him 9th this season so he can get 8th. And then eventually, when he's like 52 years old, he would have won 10 championships in a row. Sometimes, my genius just frightens everyone. He's going to have a good year. Obviously, as I said, Williams have got a very talented lineup for a midfield team. Probably like maybe the best since Perez Hulkenberg at Force India. Um, will he get 2 podiums? I hope so. Probably not. Do I think he's going to have a better terms of average finishes over the season, considering how badly he started last year? In terms of compared to his teammate, yes, he will. He's properly adjusted to the Williams environment now. This is more a thing where everyone is dealing with a new kind of car. So I think where his usual thing of not functioning for the first, year of the season, he'll do much better. He'll slide in there beautifully, and yeah, I think P9 is the right place. And now we get on to the top 14. Shock, horror, who would have bloody thought? Oh, what's this? What a surprise. It's Isaac Hadjar going to 8th. There's going to be like a 50-point gap here and then like a 125,000 point gap here. He's going to average finishing 8th and 7th every single race of the season with the occasional 4th. No 5th or 6th. He'll probably do really well in Saudi Arabia due to him, his amazing everything. And Qatar and Bahrain and I don't know, China and Las Vegas and I can't think of any other country. Do we have any more like Middle Eastern races? No, because that's where his culture, that's where his beliefs lie best. I think I've just absolutely waffled an allegation there, and I'm completely sorry to Hadjar. I do hate you though. 7th place is Hamilton. What? No, this is meant to be Hamilton's year. He gets the 8th title. No, I don't care. He's getting 7th. He's washed. 6th place is Antonelli. Mercedes does look incredibly, incredibly good, but I don't think he stands any chance against George Russell. He will be 3rd out of the 2 drivers in terms of choice of strategy, because Russell will pick his strategy for him. There is just no way in living hell I can see Antonelli challenging for the title. If I get proven wrong, fair enough. Then, but if he stopped relying on his toothpaste, he might be able to do better across the whole season. I think he's also got a lot of rookie mistakes inside of him, but still, you saw a young Max be like that, and considering this is Toto's new Max Verstappen, which sounds like a grooming scandal, he's still got a long way to go. This is definitely not a bad thing for Antonelli. I think he'll be a lot closer in terms of sort of the front block compared to last year, and he'll definitely have a lot more visits to the podium, and that'll be a good thing. Fifth place. Oh, it's the same guy predicted fifth last year's. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oscar Piastri. You're going. Now, obviously, last year I got it horribly wrong, saying that Piastri was going to get fifth and his teammate would win. Obviously, his teammate did win because I'm a scientific genius and I hated doing that because I don't like Lando Norris. What this does mean, though, questions or concerned as to whether Piastri should stay at McLaren. In my opinion, he could also be an outside favourite for replacing Lewis Hamilton. Would he want to go to a team where Leclerc is still favoured the number one driver, even though he's delivered absolutely nothing in 6 years? Wait, hold on, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 7 years, my bad. Jesus Christ, that's his 8th year at Ferrari. God, I'm getting old. But yeah, Piastri, I think, will leave McLaren at the end of the season. Probably go to Aston Martin and then stink out the gaff, and we'll never see him win a race again. Will he? He'll win he'll win a race this year. That's it, just a race. Probably, don't know, Netherlands again because the 4 drivers in front of him retired. Anyway, P4 Lando Norris. Haha. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think McLaren will get third in the constructors this year. Will it be close between Norris and Piastri? Yes. Will it cause a bunch of screw ups? Yes. Is that what I want to see? Yes. Is it going to be funny? Yes. Which is why, yeah, I do think Norris will win like 3 races this year. I think there'll be 6 winners this season. Or maybe even 7. The top 7 here, but yeah, Norris is not going to have. I think it's more the McLaren won't be as good this year. Maybe it will develop into a much better car, but I don't know. I feel like I would trust Mercedes and Red Bull to do much better. I think they over the development season, it will be interesting to see. Maybe, of course, Ferrari as well. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting season to see how Norris's championship defense goes. Clearly, here, I don't think it's going to go very well. And who's going to beat him? Max Verstappen is going third. I do not think the Red Bull will be super duper impressive across a whole season. They accept that they're going to be behind at the start. Obviously, that was the case last year, although Verstappen is still very much capable of pulling off such things. But I think the gap between, more specifically, Mercedes and Ferrari with their number one drivers is going to be much more severe. So yeah, he'll probably get a decent amount of wins. He could get 5 wins. Probably. He'll probably win Austria because it's like contractually obliged to at this point. But it'll be an interesting thing. For interesting season for Max. I don't know why I keep saying thing. Anyway, second place Leclerc because God be damned, no one's winning a championship at Ferrari. But it's not going to be Ferrari's fault. It will be Leclerc's fault. I still don't think he has it in him. And then questions need to start being asked. Because if Hamilton does leave and someone like Behrman comes in, then they've really got to consider who's the one, who's the two. But this will probably be the best season of his career so far. 2022 was a mixture of him messing up and Ferrari messing up. Do I think he'll still mess up at points this year? Yes. Will Ferrari mess up at points? Of course, it's bloody Ferrari one about. But every team will mess up at some point. I just don't think he doesn't have the bottle. He's going to bottle it. He will bottle up the championship, throw it down the river Mercedes, and it will go to George Russell, who I might as well put into his position now. George Russell has everything going for him this season. It will be, if there is going to be a man that you would back, it's this man. He is the favourite to win the championship. Do I want that? No. But let's be honest, a Williams isn't winning a championship anytime soon. The form of last season, Mercedes looks unbelievable. It's all tying together wonderfully for him, which is why me putting him first has cursed him for the season. Although I said that about Norris after I recorded the last year's video, and look what bloody happened. So there you go. There is your championship. There is your 10th place. Whoever's in 16th is going to finish in 16th, and I don't know, and 7th place will be correct. That's all I got right. That's all I got right last season. So yeah, Anyway, thank you for watching, people. Will I do a constructors one? In fact, I can kind of just do a constructors one now. I tell you what, because I like doing longer stuff. Right, okay, cool. Cadillac's going to be at the bottom. Shock, isn't it? Um, Aston Martin. Nope, sorry. Racing Bulls. My bad. I forgot they existed. Cool. Aston Martin. Cool. Right. Alpinus. Aldinus. Oh, sorry, boss. That's you're not finishing behind your whole team, though that would technically make sense. Haas. Oh my God! Stop going in front of. I'm going to put Haas up here. Where's Williams? Oh shoot. You, 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 you. I think that makes sense, right? 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Cool. I did the constructors so quickly that I'd like and subscribe after seeing something like that. Anyway, thank you for watching, people. Goodbye.